The night was vibrant, filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and the soft murmur of conversations. The grand mansion on Beverly Hills was alive with an air of opulence. I, Jack, stood beside my wife Claire as we navigated through the throng of elegantly dressed guests. It was one of those nights that felt perfect, like a scene out of a movie. The chandeliers sparkled above us, casting a warm glow over the room, and the band played soft jazz in the background. Everything seemed perfect, or at least it did until Claire vanished into the crowd. "Claire, where did you go?" I muttered to myself, scanning the room. She had just been by my side a moment ago, smiling and chatting with an old friend from college. I weaved through the guests, exchanging polite nods and forced smiles, searching for her. Finally, I saw her. She was at the far end of the room, talking animatedly with a man I didn't recognize. He was tall, with an easy smile and a self-assured demeanor. I felt a pang of jealousy, but quickly dismissed it. Claire was beautiful and charming. It was natural for men to be drawn to her. Later that night, as we drove home, Claire was unusually quiet. The energy that had radiated from her at the party seemed to have faded. I glanced over at her, concerned. "Everything all right?" I asked. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Just tired, Jack. It was a long night." The next day, as I sipped my morning coffee, I noticed an unfamiliar number on Claire's phone. It had called her late at night, long after we had come home. When I asked her about it, she brushed it off casually. "Oh, just a wrong number," she said, not meeting my eyes. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But something felt off. In the following weeks, Claire's spending habits changed dramatically. She began making extravagant purchases, designer dresses, expensive jewelry, even booking a surprise trip to the Maldives. We weren't struggling financially, but these expenditures were unusual, even for her. "Claire, where is all this money coming from?" I asked one evening as she showed me a new diamond bracelet. "Oh, Jack, don't worry. I've just been handling some investments," she replied with a laugh. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. Then there was the hotel incident. I was meeting a business partner at a downtown hotel when I saw her. Claire was there, but she wasn't alone. She was with the same man from the party. They were seated at a secluded table, talking in hushed tones. The way they looked at each other, the way her hand rested on his arm, it was all too intimate. My heart sank. I hired a private detective the next day. Within a week, he brought me the evidence. Photographs of Claire and the man, Thomas, together at various locations. The final blow came when I discovered that a large sum of money had been transferred from our joint account to an unknown account. Confronting Claire was the hardest thing I had ever done. She didn't deny it. She admitted to everything: the affair, the money transfers, her hopes that Thomas would give her the life of luxury she craved. But her dreams shattered when Thomas disappeared with all the money, leaving her broke and alone. Now, as I stood on the balcony of our home, looking out at the sunset, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Betrayal, yes, but also a sense of freedom. Claire had lost everything in her quest for more, but I had gained something far more valuable: clarity and strength. This was just the beginning of a new chapter in my life. The day after the party, I woke up feeling uneasy. I couldn't shake off the image of Claire with that man. As I sat in the kitchen, nursing my morning coffee, I saw Claire's phone light up on the counter. A call from an unfamiliar number had come in late at night. I stared at the screen for a moment before asking, "Claire, who called you so late last night?" "Oh, just a wrong number," she replied nonchalantly, barely glancing up from her laptop. But something about the way she said it made me doubt her. Days turned into weeks, and my unease grew. Claire's behavior started changing in small, unsettling ways. She became more secretive, often stepping out to take calls or disappearing for hours without explanation. But what troubled me most was her sudden penchant for luxury. Claire began making extravagant purchases that seemed out of character. She came home one day with a pair of designer shoes that cost more than our monthly mortgage payment. Another day, she showed off a new diamond bracelet that sparkled more than the chandeliers at the party. "Claire, where's all this money coming from?" I asked one evening as we sat in the living room. I tried to keep my voice steady, but I couldn't hide my concern. "Oh, Jack, don't worry about it," she said with a dismissive laugh. "I've just been handling some investments. Everything is perfectly fine." Her words did little to soothe my anxiety. I knew our financial situation well, and her spending was well beyond our means. I couldn't help but feel that something was terribly wrong. One afternoon, as I was sorting through some paperwork in our home office, I stumbled upon a receipt. It was for a diamond bracelet, but it wasn't in Claire's name. The receipt was made out to a Thomas Bennett. My heart raced as I tried to make sense of it. Why would Claire buy something so expensive for another man? I decided to confront her. "Claire, who is Thomas Bennett?" I asked, holding up the receipt. She froze for a moment, then quickly recovered. "Oh, he's just a friend from work. I bought the bracelet as a favor for him because he couldn't make it to the store himself." Her explanation didn't sit right with me, but I had no concrete proof to challenge her further. However, my suspicion only deepened. Then came the day when everything started to fall apart. I was at a downtown hotel, meeting a business partner for lunch, when I saw Claire. She was sitting at a secluded table in the hotel's restaurant, and she wasn't alone. The man with her was the same one from the party, Thomas. They were talking in hushed tones, and the way she touched his arm was far too intimate for a casual acquaintance. My heart pounded in my chest as I watched them. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to come together, and the picture they formed was devastating. Claire was having an affair, and she was using our money to fund her new lifestyle with Thomas. That night, I hired a private detective. I needed to know the full extent of what was happening. Within a week, the detective provided me with photos of Claire and Thomas together at various locations around the city. The evidence was undeniable, but the final blow came when I checked our joint bank account. A significant sum of money had been transferred to an unknown account, and the transfer had Claire's name on it. She was siphoning off our savings, and it was all for Thomas. When I confronted Claire, she didn't even try to deny it. Tears streamed down her face as she confessed everything. She admitted to the affair and the money transfers. She told me that Thomas had promised her a life of luxury, one that she believed I couldn't provide. "I'm sorry, Jack," she said, her voice trembling. "I thought I could have it all, but I was wrong." Thomas had taken the money and disappeared, leaving Claire with nothing but regret. As she sat there, broken and remorseful, I felt a mix of anger and sorrow. The woman I had loved and trusted had betrayed me in the worst possible way. Standing on our balcony watching the sunset, I realized that despite the pain, I had gained something far more valuable: clarity and strength. This betrayal had changed everything, but it had also given me a chance to start anew. I was ready to face whatever came next, stronger and wiser. This was the end of one chapter, but it was also the beginning of a new one. After Claire's confession, my world was shattered, but the reality of our financial situation hit even harder. I spent the next few days meticulously going through our bank statements, credit card bills, and investment accounts. It was worse than I had imagined. Claire had transferred over half of our savings to Thomas's account over the past several months. The sum was staggering, and it left us with little more than a pittance. I felt a mixture of anger and betrayal, but also a gnawing fear about our financial future. I decided it was time to take legal action. I contacted our attorney, Mark, who specialized in divorce and financial disputes. Mark was a no-nonsense professional, and he immediately set the wheels in motion for a divorce and a forensic audit of our finances. "Jack, we need to move quickly," Mark advised. "If Claire's actions are proven fraudulent, we might have a chance to recover some of the money, but it's going to be a tough fight." The legal battle began in earnest. Claire, desperate and remorseful, tried to negotiate, but I was resolute. She had betrayed me and jeopardized our financial stability. There was no room for leniency. During one of our court hearings, I learned more about Thomas. He was a con artist, with a history of preying on wealthy women. Claire had fallen for his charm and promises, blinded by her own desires for a luxurious lifestyle. Thomas had expertly manipulated her, draining our resources before disappearing without a trace. While the court proceedings dragged on, I focused on securing my financial future. I worked longer hours, took on additional projects, and cut back on expenses. Friends and family rallied around me, offering support and advice. Their encouragement was a lifeline during this tumultuous time. Meanwhile, Claire's life was falling apart. Thomas had not only taken her money, but also left her with substantial debts. Creditors began calling, and she was forced to sell her luxury items to cover some of the losses. She moved out of our home and into a small, cheap apartment. a far cry from the lavish lifestyle she had pursued. One day, while sorting through some old photographs, I found a picture of Claire and me from happier times. We were on a beach, smiling and carefree. The contrast between then and now was stark. I realized that the woman in the photograph no longer existed. Claire had changed, driven by greed and the illusion of a better life. Despite everything, I couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness for her. She had lost everything in her quest for more. But I knew I had to focus on my own recovery. The divorce was finalized, and the court ruled in my favor. Claire was held responsible for the financial damages, though recovering the lost money was still an uphill battle. Thomas remained elusive, and the chances of getting the money back were slim. Standing on the balcony of my now quiet home, I reflected on the whirlwind of events. Claire's betrayal had torn my world apart, but it had also given me a chance to rebuild. I was stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The pain of the past was still there, but it no longer defined me. As the sun set, casting a golden hue over the horizon, I felt a sense of peace. I had survived the worst and emerged on the other side. Life would go on, and I was ready to embrace the future, whatever it held. This was the beginning of a new chapter, one where I could forge my own path, free from the shadows of betrayal. And for the first time in a long while, I felt hopeful. The day I decided to confront Claire about everything, I felt a mix of determination and dread. I had all the evidence: the private detective's photographs, the bank statements, and the receipts. There was no more room for denial. It was time for the truth to come out. I found Claire in the living room, scrolling through her phone. She looked up and smiled when she saw me, but her smile quickly faded when she saw the stack of papers in my hand. "Jack, what's all that?" she asked, her voice wavering. "We need to talk, Claire," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I know everything." Her face paled and she put down her phone. "What do you mean?" I took a deep breath and began laying out the evidence on the coffee table. "I know about Thomas. I know about the money you transferred to him. I know about the affair." Claire's eyes filled with tears as she glanced at the photographs, the bank statements, the damning evidence of her betrayal. "Jack, I can explain." "Explain?" I interrupted, my voice rising despite my efforts to stay calm. "Explain how you betrayed me? How you drained our savings for a man who was just using you?" Tears streamed down her face as she looked at me, her expression a mix of guilt and desperation. I thought he loved me. He promised me so much, Jack. A life I always dreamed of. A life you couldn't have with me?" I asked bitterly. "You thought betraying me was the answer?" "I was wrong," she sobbed. "I was so wrong. Thomas took everything. He's gone and I have nothing left." For a moment, I felt a pang of pity for her. She had been deceived and used, just as she had deceived and used me. But my anger and hurt were too overwhelming to fully sympathize. "We're done, Claire," I said, my voice cold and final. "I've already spoken to a lawyer. We're getting a divorce. You'll be held accountable for the financial damages, and I'll make sure of that." She looked devastated, but I couldn't afford to let her pain sway me. The betrayal was too deep, the trust too shattered. In the days that followed, Claire moved out. The house felt emptier, but also freer. I immersed myself in work, in rebuilding the life I once knew. My friends and family were my pillars of support, and their encouragement helped me navigate this painful transition. One evening, as I was clearing out some of Claire's remaining belongings, I found her diary. Part of me wanted to throw it away, but another part of me was curious. I hesitated, then opened it to a random page. What I read surprised me. It wasn't just entries about Thomas and their affair. It was also about her own insecurities, her feelings of inadequacy, her constant yearning for more. Claire had been battling her own demons long before Thomas came into the picture. Reading her thoughts, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Anger, yes, but also a sense of understanding. Claire's betrayal wasn't just about greed. It was about her own unhappiness, her own flawed sense of self-worth. She had made terrible choices, but those choices came from a place of deep personal struggle. Despite this insight, it didn't change the fact that she had hurt me deeply. But it did help me begin to forgive, not for her sake, but for mine. Holding on to anger would only continue to hurt me. As the divorce proceedings continued, I focused on moving forward. The court ruled in my favor, and Claire was held accountable for the financial damages. But recovering the lost money was still an ongoing battle. One evening, as I stood on the balcony, I felt a sense of closure. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink as the sun set. I realized that this was the end of a painful chapter, but also the beginning of a new one. Claire's betrayal had changed me, but it had also given me the strength to start anew. I was ready to leave the past behind and embrace the future, whatever it held. With the support of my friends and family, I knew I could rebuild and find happiness again. This was my journey now, and I was ready to face it head on. The courtroom was cold and impersonal, a stark contrast to the heated emotions that filled the space. I sat beside my attorney Mark, feeling a mix of anxiety and determination. Claire was on the other side, looking small and fragile, a stark reminder of the woman I once loved. Our legal battle had been grueling. Mark had advised me to gather every piece of evidence to support my case, and I had done just that. The private investigator's photos, the financial statements, the receipts, they all painted a clear picture of betrayal and financial deceit. The judge entered, and the room fell silent. The proceedings began with both sides presenting their arguments. Claire's attorney tried to paint her as a victim of Thomas's manipulation, a woman driven by desperation and insecurity. But the evidence against her was overwhelming. Mark was relentless. He presented the bank statements showing the large sums of money Claire had transferred to Thomas's account. He showed the photos of Claire and Thomas together, the receipts for the extravagant purchases, and the documentation of the debts she had incurred. "Your Honor, this is not just a case of infidelity," Mark argued. "This is a case of financial betrayal. My client trusted his wife, and she exploited that trust for her own selfish desires. We seek justice for the financial and emotional damages inflicted upon him." Claire took the stand, tears streaming down her face as she tried to explain her actions. "I was lost, Your Honor. I made terrible mistakes, and I regret them deeply. Thomas promised me a life I thought I wanted, but I see now that it was all a lie. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make things right." Her words were filled with remorse, but they didn't change the facts. The financial damage was done, and it had left me in a precarious position. The judge listened carefully, weighing the evidence and testimonies. After what felt like an eternity, he delivered his verdict. Claire was held responsible for the financial damages. The court ordered her to repay a portion of the money she had siphoned off, though recovering the full amount was unlikely. As we left the courtroom, I felt a sense of relief mixed with lingering sadness. Justice had been served, but the scars of betrayal remained. In the days that followed, I focused on rebuilding my life. I worked long hours, taking on extra projects to stabilize my financial situation. Friends and family continued to support me, their encouragement a constant source of strength. Claire's life, meanwhile, continued to unravel. She struggled to make ends meet, selling off her remaining luxury items to cover her debts. The lavish lifestyle she had pursued with Thomas was gone, replaced by a harsh reality. One afternoon, I received an unexpected call from Claire. Her voice was shaky, filled with regret. "Jack, I know I've lost everything and I don't expect forgiveness, but I wanted to thank you for giving me a chance to make amends. I'm trying to rebuild just like you." Her words stirred something in me. Despite everything, I felt a flicker of compassion. Claire had made terrible choices, but she was also paying a heavy price for them. I wished her well, hoping she could find a way to move forward. As for me, I continued to focus on my own journey. The court's decision had provided some closure, but the true healing came from within. I learned to trust again, to open myself up to new possibilities. Standing on my balcony one evening, I watched the sunset, feeling a sense of peace. The sky was a canvas of vibrant colors, a reminder that even after the darkest times, there is beauty to be found. The chapter of betrayal was behind me, and a new chapter of hope and resilience had begun. With each passing day, I felt stronger, more confident in my ability to navigate whatever life threw my way. The future was uncertain, but I was ready to face it with courage and determination. This was my story now, and I was determined to make it a story of triumph over adversity. In the months following the courtroom battle, life slowly began to stabilize. The initial shock and pain of Claire's betrayal had dulled into a distant ache, replaced by a resolute focus on rebuilding my life. The routine of work, the support of friends, and the comforting normalcy of daily activities became my anchors. Financially, I was still recovering. The court had ordered Claire to repay a portion of the money, but the process was slow, and the full amount was unlikely to be recovered. I tightened my budget, cutting unnecessary expenses and finding ways to save wherever possible. I took on additional freelance work, which not only helped financially, but also kept my mind occupied. One evening, while sorting through a stack of bills and financial documents, I came across a letter from Claire. It was unexpected, and I hesitated before opening it. Her handwriting was shaky, as if she had struggled to find the right words. "Jack, I know that I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I need to express my deepest apologies once more. The pain I caused you is something I will carry with me forever. I've lost everything, but it's the loss of your trust and our life together that haunts me the most. I'm working hard to repay the money and to rebuild my life, though I know it will never undo the damage I've done. I hope that one day you can find it in your heart to forgive me, not for my sake, but so that you can find peace. Claire." I folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. It was a reminder of the past, but also a testament to my journey forward. I had no intention of responding, but I did feel a sense of closure. Claire's acknowledgement of her wrongs was a small step toward healing, even if it didn't change what had happened. As the weeks turned into months, I found myself exploring new interests and reconnecting with old friends. I joined a hiking group, rediscovering my love for the outdoors. The physical activity was therapeutic, and the camaraderie of the group provided a sense of community that I had missed. One weekend, our group planned a trip to Yosemite. The towering cliffs, majestic waterfalls, and serene meadows were a stark contrast to the turmoil I had experienced. Standing at the edge of Glacier Point, looking out over the breathtaking vista, I felt a profound sense of peace. It was as if nature itself was reminding me of the vastness of the world and the endless possibilities that lay ahead. During the hike, I met someone new, Emily, a fellow hiker with a warm smile and an easy laugh. We bonded over our love for nature and shared stories of our lives. She was understanding and kind, and our conversations flowed effortlessly. It was the first time in a long while that I felt a genuine connection with someone. Emily and I started spending more time together, exploring trails, trying new restaurants, and simply enjoying each other's company. She was a breath of fresh air, and being with her felt natural and comforting. I was cautious but hopeful. Emily knew about my past, and she respected my need to take things slow. As my relationship with Emily grew, so did my sense of optimism. The wounds of the past were healing, and I was beginning to see a future filled with new opportunities and happiness. The journey had been difficult, but it had also made me stronger and more resilient. One evening, as we watched the sunset together, Emily turned to me and said, "You've come a long way, Jack. I'm proud of you." Her words touched me deeply. I realized that I had indeed come a long way, from the depths of betrayal and financial ruin to a place of hope and new beginnings. The future was still uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, I felt truly optimistic about what lay ahead. Claire's betrayal had been a painful chapter in my life, but it was just one chapter. The story was far from over, and I was determined to make the next chapters ones of growth, love, and fulfillment. With Emily by my side and a renewed sense of purpose, I was ready to embrace whatever the future held. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the landscape, I knew that this was a new beginning, and this time, I was ready for it. Just as life was starting to feel settled again, an unexpected revelation threw everything into turmoil. It was a quiet Tuesday evening, and I was catching up on some work emails when I received a message from a name I hadn't seen in a long time. Paul, an old college friend who had moved to New York a few years ago. "Hey Jack, I came across something you might want to see. It's about Claire." Curiosity piqued. I opened the attachment. It was an article from a local New York news website. The headline read, "Man arrested in high-stakes fraud scheme." The article detailed how Thomas Bennett, the man Claire had left me for, had been arrested for a series of financial scams. My heart raced as I read further. Thomas had conned multiple women, including Claire, out of their money, promising investments and luxurious lifestyles in return. I felt a mix of emotions. On one hand, there was a grim satisfaction in knowing that Thomas was finally facing justice. On the other hand, the article hinted at something far more disturbing. Claire had not been just another victim. She had been actively involved in his schemes, using her charm and our money to help Thomas lure in more victims. I needed more information. The next day, I contacted the private investigator who had helped me during the divorce. I asked him to look into Claire's recent activities and any connection she might still have to Thomas. Within a week, he provided me with a report that confirmed my worst fears. Claire had been a willing accomplice in Thomas's plans. She had known about the fraud and had actively participated in deceiving others. I felt sick to my stomach. Claire's betrayal ran deeper than I had ever imagined. She hadn't just cheated on me and stolen my money, she had been part of a criminal enterprise. I decided to confront her one last time. I found Claire living in a small, run-down apartment on the outskirts of the city. She looked exhausted and worn down, a far cry from the vibrant woman I once knew. When she saw me at her door, her eyes widened in surprise and fear. "Jack, what are you doing here?" she asked, her voice trembling. "We need to talk," I said, pushing my way inside. "I know everything, Claire. I know about Thomas, the fraud, and your involvement." Her face crumpled, and she sank onto the shabby couch. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she whispered. "I thought I was helping him, that we would make a life together. But it all spiraled out of control." "Helping him?" I echoed, incredulous. "You helped him ruin lives, Claire. You ruined our lives." Tears streamed down her face as she tried to explain. "I was lost, Jack. I was desperate for something more, something exciting. Thomas promised me the world, and I believed him. By the time I realized what we were doing, it was too late. I didn't know how to get out." Her confession was heartbreaking, but it didn't absolve her of her actions. "You need to go to the authorities, Claire. You need to come clean about everything." "I can't," she sobbed. "They'll arrest me. I'll go to jail." "Maybe that's what you deserve," I said harshly. "But if you ever want a chance at redemption, this is the only way. Otherwise, you'll be running for the rest of your life." She looked at me, her eyes filled with despair. "Will you help me, Jack, please?" I took a deep breath, torn between my lingering feelings for the woman I had once loved and the need for justice. "I'll help you, but only if you agree to cooperate fully with the authorities." Claire nodded, her expression a mixture of relief and fear. "Okay, I'll do it." The next few days were a whirlwind. I contacted Mark, my attorney, and together we arranged for Claire to meet with the authorities. She provided a full confession and detailed Thomas's schemes, implicating herself in the process. As expected, Claire was arrested and charged, but her cooperation led to a reduced sentence. She was given the chance to make amends, though the road ahead would be long and difficult. For me, the revelation about Claire's deeper betrayal was a final, painful closure. It confirmed that the woman I had loved was gone, replaced by someone I no longer recognized. But it also freed me from any remaining ties to the past. With Claire's chapter truly behind me, I focused on my future with renewed determination. Emily was by my side, supportive and understanding, as we navigated this latest upheaval together. The past had been tumultuous, but it had also shaped me into someone stronger and more resilient. As I stood on my balcony watching the sunset, I felt a sense of peace. The storm had passed, and I was ready to embrace whatever the future held, confident in my ability to face it head-on. With Claire's betrayal fully revealed, and her facing the consequences of her actions, I felt an unexpected sense of liberation. The weight of the past had finally lifted, allowing me to focus entirely on the future. Emily and I continued to grow closer, finding joy in the simple things and supporting each other through the lingering shadows of our pasts. One crisp autumn morning, Emily suggested we take a weekend trip to the mountains. "You need a break, Jack," she said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Let's go somewhere peaceful, just the two of us." I agreed, grateful for the opportunity to escape the city and the memories it held. We packed our bags and drove to a quaint cabin nestled in the woods, surrounded by towering pine trees and serene lakes. The air was fresh and invigorating, a perfect setting for reflection and renewal. On our first evening, we sat by the fireplace, sipping hot cocoa and sharing stories. Emily's laughter was infectious, and for the first time in a long while, I felt truly content. The crackling fire and the warmth of her presence created a cocoon of comfort, shielding us from the outside world. As the weekend progressed, we hiked through the forests, marveled at the vibrant autumn foliage, and shared quiet moments by the lake. One afternoon, as we stood at a scenic overlook, Emily turned to me, her expression serious yet tender. Jack, I know you've been through so much, and I admire your strength, but I want you to know that I'm here for you, whatever comes our way. We're building something special, and I'm excited for our future together. Her words touched me deeply. I took her hand and looked into her eyes, feeling a surge of gratitude and affection. Emily, you've been my rock through all of this. I can't imagine facing the future without you. Back in the city, life settled into a comforting rhythm. Emily and I decided to move in together, merging our lives in a cozy apartment filled with laughter and love. We decorated the space with memories of our adventures, each item a testament to our journey together. Professionally, I found new opportunities that reignited my passion. I was promoted at work, and the additional responsibilities gave me a renewed sense of purpose. I also started mentoring younger colleagues, sharing the lessons I had learned from my own experiences. One evening, as Emily and I were unpacking a box of her belongings, we found an old photo album. We sat on the floor, flipping through the pages and reminiscing about our childhoods and past adventures. It was a beautiful reminder of how far we had both come and how much we had overcome. Emily looked at me, her eyes filled with love. Jack, we've both had our share of hardships, but I truly believe that they've made us stronger. Together we can face anything. Her words resonated deeply. I realized that while the past had been painful, it had also led me to this moment, with a woman who understood and supported me unconditionally. As we continued to build our life together, we faced new challenges with resilience and optimism. We made plans for the future, dreaming of travel, new experiences, and perhaps even starting a family someday. Each step forward was a testament to our commitment to each other and to the life we were creating. One sunny afternoon, while strolling through a park, I found myself thinking about Claire. I wondered how she was coping and if she had found a way to make amends. Despite everything, I hoped she was on a path to redemption. Holding on to anger or resentment would only hinder my own journey. Emily noticed my pensive mood and squeezed my hand. "Penny, for your thoughts?" I smiled, grateful for her presence. "Just thinking about the past and how much has changed. I'm glad we're here now together." She leaned in and kissed me softly. "Me too, Jack. The past is behind us, and the future is ours to shape." As the seasons changed, so did our lives. We faced ups and downs, but our bond only grew stronger. The pain of betrayal had been replaced by the joy of new beginnings, and I embraced each day with a sense of hope and gratitude. Standing on our balcony one evening, watching the city lights twinkle below, I felt a profound sense of peace. The journey had been long and arduous, but it had led me to a place of love, strength, and endless possibilities. With Emily by my side, I knew that whatever the future held, we would face it together, with courage and unwavering support. The chapter of betrayal was closed, and a new, beautiful story was unfolding. And this time, it was a story of love, resilience, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Several years had passed since the tumultuous events with Claire and Thomas. Life with Emily had blossomed into a steady rhythm of love, companionship, and shared dreams. Our relationship had deepened, and we had weathered challenges together, emerging stronger each time. One afternoon, while browsing through the bookstore, I came across a self-help book on forgiveness. The title caught my eye: Healing from Betrayal, Finding Peace Through Forgiveness. Intrigued, I picked it up and started reading. The book explored the profound impact of forgiveness on healing emotional wounds and moving forward with life. As I delved deeper into its pages, I began to reflect on my own journey. The betrayal by Claire had left scars that took time to heal. Initially, forgiveness seemed impossible. How could I forgive someone who had caused me so much pain and turmoil? But the book offered a different perspective. Forgiveness, it argued, was not about condoning the actions of others, but about releasing oneself from the burden of anger and resentment. It was a gift to oneself, a path toward inner peace and freedom. That evening, I shared my thoughts with Emily over dinner. She listened attentively, her eyes filled with understanding. "Forgiveness is a powerful thing, Jack," she said softly. "It's about letting go of the past so that it doesn't define your future." Her words struck a chord within me. I realized that holding on to anger and bitterness only kept me tethered to the pain of the past. If I truly wanted to move forward and embrace the future with Emily, I needed to find a way to forgive Claire. Not for her sake, but for my own. The next day, I visited Claire in prison. It was a daunting prospect, facing the woman who had caused me so much hurt. But as I looked at her through the cold glass partition, I saw a different person, tired, remorseful, and visibly changed by the weight of her actions. "Jack," she whispered, her voice barely audible through the crackling phone line. "I never expected to see you here." I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "Claire, I've come to tell you something. I've been carrying a lot of anger and resentment towards you, but I realize now that it's only hurting me. I want you to know that I forgive you." Tears welled up in her eyes, and she shook her head in disbelief. "Jack, after everything I've done—" "It's not for what you've done," I interrupted gently. "It's for my own peace of mind. I need to let go of the past and focus on building a positive future." Claire nodded slowly, her expression a mix of gratitude and sorrow. "Thank you, Jack. I'm so sorry for everything." As I left the prison that day, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Forgiveness wasn't about forgetting or excusing Claire's actions. It was about reclaiming my own power and choosing to move forward with empathy and compassion. Back home, Emily greeted me with a warm embrace. She knew how difficult the visit had been for me, but she also understood the importance of closure. Together, we talked about forgiveness and what it meant for our relationship and our future. In the weeks that followed, I continued to reflect on forgiveness and its transformative power. I reached out to a therapist who specialized in healing from betrayal, and together we explored strategies for letting go of lingering resentments and embracing forgiveness as a tool for personal growth. Emily and I embarked on a journey of exploration and self-discovery, attending workshops and retreats focused on mindfulness and emotional healing. Our bond deepened as we supported each other through this transformative process. One evening, as we sat on our balcony under a canopy of stars, Emily turned to me with a smile. "You've come so far, Jack. I'm proud of you." Her words warmed my heart. "I couldn't have done it without you, Emily. You've been my rock through it all." Together, we toasted to new beginnings and the power of forgiveness. The wounds of the past had finally begun to heal, replaced by a sense of peace and a renewed appreciation for the beauty of life. As I looked out at the city skyline, I felt a profound sense of gratitude. The journey had been arduous, but it had led me to a place of understanding and acceptance. Forgiveness had set me free, allowing me to embrace the present and look forward to a future filled with love, joy, and endless possibilities. Months had passed since my visit to Claire in prison, and life continued to move forward in a positive direction. Emily and I were thriving both personally and professionally. We often talked about our dreams for the future, including the possibility of starting a family. The healing journey had brought us closer together, and I felt a sense of contentment that I hadn't experienced in years. One crisp autumn afternoon, Emily and I decided to visit a nearby farmer's market. The air was filled with the rich scents of freshly baked goods, ripe fruits, and roasted coffee. We strolled hand in hand through the bustling stalls, sampling various treats and chatting with the vendors. As we approached a stall selling handcrafted jewelry, I noticed a familiar figure in the crowd. At first, I thought I was mistaken, but as the figure turned, I saw Claire standing there, looking at a display of necklaces. She looked healthier than when I had last seen her, and there was a calmness in her demeanor that hadn't been there before. Our eyes met, and Claire froze, clearly as surprised as I was. Emily sensed the shift in my mood and followed my gaze. She squeezed my hand reassuringly, understanding immediately who Claire was. I took a deep breath and approached Claire. "Claire," I said, my voice steady, "I didn't expect to see you here." She turned to me, a mixture of emotions crossing her face. "Jack, it's been a long time." Emily stepped forward and introduced herself, offering a warm smile. "Hi, I'm Emily. It's nice to meet you." Claire nodded, clearly appreciating Emily's kindness. "Hello, Emily. I've heard a lot about you." We stood there awkwardly for a moment, the weight of our shared history hanging in the air. Finally, Claire spoke. "I was released early for good behavior. I've been volunteering and trying to rebuild my life." "That's good to hear," I said, genuinely relieved. "I hope you're finding some peace." Claire smiled faintly. "I am, slowly but surely. I've been attending therapy and support groups. It's been a challenging journey, but I'm committed to making amends and moving forward." We chatted for a few more minutes, catching up on the basics. Claire shared that she was living in a halfway house and working at a local nonprofit that helped former inmates reintegrate into society. It was clear that she was making a genuine effort to turn her life around. As we parted ways, Claire looked at me with sincere gratitude. "Jack, I want to thank you again for your forgiveness. It has meant more to me than you'll ever know." I nodded, feeling a sense of closure that I hadn't realized I still needed. "I wish you the best, Claire. Take care." Emily and I continued our stroll through the market, the encounter with Claire sparking a deep conversation about forgiveness, redemption, and the capacity for change. Emily's unwavering support and understanding reinforced how lucky I was to have her in my life. Later that evening, as we sat on our balcony overlooking the city lights, Emily turned to me. "How do you feel about seeing Claire today?" I thought for a moment before answering. "I feel at peace. Seeing her making an effort to change, it validates the forgiveness. It's a reminder that people can grow and learn from their mistakes. It's also a reminder of how far we've come." Emily smiled and rested her head on my shoulder. "I'm proud of you, Jack. You've handled everything with such grace." With the past now firmly behind us, we focused on the future. We continued to nurture our relationship, taking joy in the small moments and planning for the bigger ones. The encounter with Claire had been unexpected, but it had also reaffirmed the path we were on, one of forgiveness, growth, and unconditional love. As we watched the stars twinkle above, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought me here. The future was bright, and I was ready to embrace it with open arms, knowing that with Emily by my side, there was nothing we couldn't face together. With our financial situation improving, Emily and I decided it was time to take the next step in our journey together. We had talked about buying a home for a while, and now, with my debts paid off and a stable income, it felt like the right time to turn that dream into reality. We spent several weekends visiting open houses and exploring different neighborhoods. Each visit brought a mix of excitement and anxiety. This wasn't just about finding a house, it was about finding a place where we could build our future together. One sunny Saturday, we stumbled upon a charming two-story house on a quiet street lined with oak trees. The house had a wraparound porch, a spacious backyard, and large windows that filled the rooms with natural light. As soon as we walked through the door, I could see the same look of wonder and delight in Emily's eyes that I felt. "What do you think?" she asked, squeezing my hand as we stood in the sunlit living room. "It feels like home," I replied, picturing our life unfolding within these walls. After a thorough inspection and some thoughtful consideration, we decided to make an offer. The negotiation process was nerve-wracking, but finally we got the call we had been hoping for. The house was ours. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of packing, paperwork, and planning. Moving day arrived, and with the help of friends and family, we settled into our new home. As we unpacked boxes and arranged furniture, there was a palpable sense of new beginnings in the air. One evening, as we sat on the porch with a bottle of wine, watching the sun set behind the trees, Emily turned to me with a contented smile. "This is it, Jack. Our new chapter." I nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and accomplishment. "We've come a long way, haven't we?" "We have," she agreed, "and I'm excited for everything that lies ahead." In the months that followed, we poured our hearts into making the house our own. We painted the walls, planted a garden, and filled the rooms with photos and mementos from our journey. Every project we undertook together strengthened our bond and made the house feel more like home. Emily and I also made an effort to get to know our new community. We attended neighborhood events, joined local clubs, and invited our neighbors over for barbecues. It wasn't long before we felt a sense of belonging and connection. One Saturday morning, as we were enjoying breakfast in our sunny kitchen, Emily brought up the topic of starting a family. "Jack, I've been thinking a lot about the future," she said, her eyes filled with hope. "I'd love for us to have children someday. What do you think?" The idea of having children had crossed my mind many times, especially as our relationship deepened and our life together flourished. I reached across the table and took her hand. "I think it's a wonderful idea, Emily. I can't imagine anyone I'd rather start a family with." Her smile lit up the room. "Then let's make it happen." With that decision, we began planning for the next phase of our lives. We researched parenting, discussed our hopes and fears, and began to prepare our home for the possibility of a new addition. It was an exciting and emotional time, filled with anticipation and dreams of the future. As we worked on these preparations, I couldn't help but reflect on how far we had come. From the ashes of betrayal and heartache, we had built a life filled with love, trust, and endless possibilities. Our journey had not been easy, but it had shaped us into a resilient and united couple. One evening, as we were putting the finishing touches on the nursery, Emily looked around the room and then at me, her eyes shining with tears of happiness. "We're really doing this, aren't we?" "We are," I said, wrapping my arms around her, and I couldn't be more excited for our future. Life had taught me many lessons, but the most profound was the power of love and forgiveness. With Emily by my side, I knew that we could face any challenge and savor every joy that came our way. Our story was one of redemption and renewal, and as we stood on the threshold of this new chapter, I felt ready to embrace whatever the future held. The joy of planning our future together, especially with the possibility of starting a family, brought Emily and me even closer. As we settled into our new home and continued to build our life together, I realized there was one more step I wanted to take: making our commitment official. I began to plan my proposal to Emily, wanting it to be a moment she would cherish forever. I thought about all the places that held significance for us, but one stood out more than any other: the spot where we had shared our first kiss, a beautiful park overlooking the city skyline. I decided to enlist the help of our closest friends and family to make the moment even more special. With their assistance, I planned an elaborate picnic at the park. Everyone was thrilled to be a part of our special day, and we worked together to create the perfect setup. The day of the proposal was clear and sunny, with a gentle breeze rustling the leaves of the trees. Emily thought we were simply going on a romantic picnic, completely unaware of the surprise that awaited her. As we walked hand in hand through the park, I could feel my heart pounding with anticipation. When we arrived at our favorite spot, Emily's eyes widened in surprise. Our friends and family were there, all smiling and holding up signs that spelled out, "Will you marry me?" A beautifully decorated picnic blanket was spread out with our favorite foods, and flowers were arranged in vases, adding a touch of elegance to the scene. I took Emily's hands in mine and looked into her eyes, my voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside me. "Emily, from the moment you came into my life, you've been my anchor, my support, and my greatest love. You've shown me what true partnership and unconditional love look like. I can't imagine my future without you by my side. Will you marry me?" Tears filled Emily's eyes as she nodded, a radiant smile spreading across her face. "Yes, Jack, yes, I will marry you." Cheers erupted from our friends and family as I slipped the ring onto her finger. We embraced, the world around us fading away as we shared this intimate, joyous moment. The celebration that followed was filled with laughter, hugs, and heartfelt toasts. Everyone was overjoyed for us, and the love and support from our loved ones made the day even more memorable. Emily and I danced together under the open sky, savoring every moment of our engagement day. In the weeks that followed, we plunged into wedding planning with enthusiasm. We wanted our wedding to reflect our journey and the love we had built together. We chose a charming vineyard as our venue, a place where we could exchange our vows surrounded by nature's beauty and our closest friends and family. As the wedding day approached, the excitement grew. Emily looked stunning in her elegant gown, and I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude and joy as I stood at the altar, waiting for her. When she walked down the aisle, our eyes locked, and I knew that we were about to embark on the most beautiful chapter of our lives. Our vows were heartfelt and emotional, capturing the essence of our journey and the promises we made to each other. "Emily, you are my heart and soul," I said, my voice filled with emotion. "I promise to stand by you, to love you unconditionally, and to face life's challenges together. I am yours, now and forever." Tears streamed down Emily's cheeks as she spoke her vows. "Jack, you are my rock, my confidant, and my greatest love. I promise to support you, to cherish you, and to walk beside you through all of life's adventures. I am yours, now and forever." As we exchanged rings and shared our first kiss as husband and wife, applause erupted around us. The reception was a joyful celebration of love, filled with dancing, toasts, and the warm embrace of our loved ones. Every detail of the day reflected our personalities and the journey we had shared, making it a perfect start to our married life. Looking back on everything we had been through, I felt a profound sense of fulfillment and joy. The challenges and heartbreaks of the past had led me to this moment, to a life filled with love, trust, and endless possibilities. With Emily by my side, I knew that we could face anything and build a future that was as beautiful and strong as the love we shared. After our wedding, Emily and I settled into married life with a sense of peace and fulfillment. Our home felt warmer, our bond stronger, and our future brighter. However, we knew that our journey had been shaped not only by our love for each other, but also by the incredible support we had received from our community. One evening, as we sat on our porch reflecting on the past few years, Emily brought up an idea that had been on her mind. "Jack, we've been through so much and have come out stronger because of the people around us. I think it's time we give back to our community." Her words resonated deeply with me. The kindness and support from friends, family, and even strangers had played a crucial role in our healing and growth. We decided to channel our gratitude into something meaningful. We began by volunteering at local organizations. Emily, with her background in social work, started working with a shelter for domestic abuse survivors. She provided counseling and support to women and children who were rebuilding their lives, just as we had. Her empathy and compassion made a significant impact, and she quickly became a trusted and valued member of the team. I joined a mentorship program for young professionals, helping them navigate their careers and personal challenges. Sharing my experiences and the lessons I had learned from my journey was incredibly rewarding. I saw myself in many of these young individuals, and I wanted to help them find their own paths to success and fulfillment. Our involvement in these organizations brought us closer to our community. We met people from all walks of life, each with their own stories of resilience and hope. Their courage and determination inspired us, and we found ourselves forming deep connections and lasting friendships. One day during a community event, we met a young couple, Mia and Alex, who were going through a tough time. They had recently lost their home due to financial difficulties and were struggling to find stability. Their story struck a chord with us, reminding us of the hardships we had faced not too long ago. Emily and I decided to step in and offer our support. We helped them find temporary housing and connected them with resources to get back on their feet. Over time, Mia and Alex began to regain their footing, and it was incredibly rewarding to see them thrive. Our efforts didn't go unnoticed. The local community center invited us to share our story at an upcoming fundraiser. Nervous but honored, we agreed, hoping to inspire others and highlight the importance of community support. The night of the fundraiser, we stood before a packed hall, filled with people who had supported us and whom we had supported in return. I took a deep breath and began to speak. "Thank you all for being here tonight. Emily and I have been on a journey that has tested us in ways we never imagined. But through it all, we found strength in each other and in this incredible community. Your support has been our lifeline, and we are forever grateful." Emily continued, her voice steady and filled with emotion. "We've learned that no matter how tough things get, there's always hope. There's always a way forward, especially when you have people who care about you. That's why it's so important for us to give back and support others in their times of need." Our story resonated with many in the audience, and the fundraiser was a tremendous success. The funds raised went toward expanding the community center's programs, ensuring that more people could receive the help they needed. In the following months, Emily and I continued our volunteer work, but we also began to explore ways to create more lasting change. We decided to establish a foundation aimed at providing resources and support for individuals and families facing adversity. Our goal was to create a network of support, offering everything from financial assistance to counseling and job training. Launching the foundation was a significant undertaking, but we were driven by our passion and the desire to make a difference. We partnered with local businesses, secured grants, and rallied volunteers. The community response was overwhelmingly positive, and we soon had a dedicated team working with us. The foundation quickly became a beacon of hope for many. We hosted workshops, provided emergency relief, and created a mentorship program. Every success story, every person who found their way back to stability and happiness, reaffirmed our commitment. Through it all, Emily and I grew even closer. Our shared mission brought a deeper sense of purpose to our lives, and we found immense joy in working together to help others. Our own experiences had transformed us, and now we were using that transformation to light the way for others. As we looked ahead to the future, we knew that the journey was far from over. There would always be challenges, but there would also always be opportunities to make a difference. And with the power of community support, we believed that anything was possible. Our story had come full circle, from being the ones in need to becoming the ones offering help. It was a testament to the strength of love, resilience, and the incredible impact of a caring community. And as we stood hand in hand, ready to face whatever came next, we felt more hopeful and empowered than ever before. The foundation we established became a significant part of our lives, helping countless individuals and families find stability and hope. Emily and I poured our hearts into this work, and the fulfillment we derived from it was immeasurable. However, amid all our efforts, we never lost sight of our dream to start a family. One crisp autumn morning, as we were enjoying a leisurely breakfast, Emily looked at me with a sparkle in her eye. "Jack, there's something I need to tell you," she said, her voice trembling with excitement. I put down my coffee cup, sensing the gravity of her words. "What is it, Emily?" She took a deep breath and then smiled broadly. "We're going to have a baby." For a moment, time stood still. A rush of emotions surged through me, joy, excitement, and a touch of nervousness. "Are you serious?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Emily nodded, tears of happiness streaming down her face. "Yes, Jack, we're going to be parents." I wrapped her in a tight embrace, feeling a profound sense of gratitude and love. This was the start of a new chapter, one we had dreamed of for so long. The months that followed were a whirlwind of preparations and anticipation. We transformed one of the rooms in our house into a nursery, painting the walls a soothing shade of green and filling the space with everything our baby would need. We attended prenatal classes together, learning the ins and outs of parenthood and bonding over our shared excitement. Emily's pregnancy brought a new kind of joy into our lives. Every ultrasound, every kick, and every milestone filled us with wonder and happiness. Our friends and family showered us with love and support, making us feel even more connected to our community. As Emily's due date approached, we focused on creating a serene and welcoming environment for our baby. We read parenting books, discussed our hopes and dreams for our child, and leaned on each other for support. The experience deepened our bond and reinforced the strength of our partnership. One late summer evening, as the sun set in a blaze of colors, Emily went into labor. We rushed to the hospital, excitement and nerves mingling as we prepared to welcome our child into the world. After hours of labor, our baby, a beautiful, healthy girl, was born. Tears of joy filled my eyes as I held our daughter for the first time. "Welcome to the world, little one," I whispered, marveling at her tiny fingers and toes. Emily looked at her with pure love, and in that moment, I knew our lives had changed forever. We named her Lily, a symbol of purity and new beginnings. Bringing Lily home was a joyous occasion, and we quickly settled into our new roles as parents. The sleepless nights and endless diaper changes were challenging, but every moment was filled with love and wonder. Our community rallied around us, offering help and support as we navigated this new chapter. Friends and family brought meals, babysat, and provided advice, reinforcing the sense of belonging and connection that had become so central to our lives. As Lily grew, so did our love for her. Watching her discover the world, take her first steps, and say her first words filled our hearts with immeasurable joy. Emily and I cherished every milestone, knowing that these moments were fleeting and precious. Our journey to parenthood also brought new dimensions to our work with the foundation. We understood more deeply the struggles and joys of raising a child, and we were even more committed to supporting families in need. Our experiences as parents enriched our empathy and strengthened our resolve to make a difference. One sunny afternoon, as we played with Lily in our backyard, Emily turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Jack, I've been thinking about how far we've come and how much we've accomplished. We've built a beautiful life together, but I feel like there's so much more we can do." I nodded, understanding exactly what she meant. "You're right, Emily. We've been given so much, and we have the opportunity to give back in even greater ways." We decided to expand the foundation's reach, creating programs specifically designed to support young families and children. We launched initiatives focused on early childhood education, parental support, and community building. Our goal was to create a nurturing environment for every child, ensuring they had the resources and opportunities to thrive. Through our work and our journey as parents, we continued to grow and evolve. Our love for each other and for our community deepened, and we embraced every challenge and triumph with open hearts. As we watched Lily chase butterflies in the yard, her laughter filling the air, I felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Our journey had been marked by trials and triumphs, heartbreaks and joys, but through it all, we had found our way to a life filled with love, purpose, and endless possibilities. With Emily and Lily by my side, I knew that no matter what the future held, we would face it together. Our story was one of resilience, hope, and the power of love. And as we looked ahead, we were ready to embrace every new beginning with open arms and grateful hearts. Years passed, and our lives flourished with the richness of love, community, and purpose. Emily and I watched Lily grow from a curious toddler into a bright and compassionate young girl. Every day with her was a new adventure, and her presence filled our home with laughter and joy. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, casting a warm glow over our backyard, Emily and I sat together on the porch, reflecting on our journey. Lily was playing with our dog Max, chasing him around the yard as his tail wagged furiously. "Can you believe how far we've come?" Emily said, her voice tinged with awe. "It feels like a lifetime ago that we were picking up the pieces of our shattered lives." I nodded, taking her hand in mine. "We've been through so much, but every challenge has brought us closer and made us stronger. I wouldn't trade any of it for the world." Emily leaned her head on my shoulder, and we sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching Lily's carefree play. "Jack, do you ever think about what life would have been like if things had been different? If Claire hadn't betrayed you?" I considered her question carefully. The pain of betrayal had been a pivotal moment in my life, but it had also led me to Emily, to our beautiful daughter, and to a sense of purpose I had never imagined. "Sometimes I do," I admitted, "but then I remember that every step, every hardship, brought us to where we are now, and I wouldn't change a thing." Emily smiled, her eyes glistening with emotion. "Me neither. Our past has shaped us, but it doesn't define us. We've built something incredible together." Our conversation drifted to the future and the dreams we had for our family and the foundation. We talked about expanding our programs, reaching more people in need, and continuing to make a positive impact on our community. The work we did through the foundation had become a cornerstone of our lives, a way to channel our gratitude and give back. As the years went by, our foundation grew in scope and influence. We launched new initiatives, partnered with other organizations, and expanded our outreach. Our community support programs flourished, helping countless individuals and families find stability and hope. Seeing the tangible difference we were making reaffirmed our commitment and passion. Lily, too, became involved in our work. From a young age, she accompanied us to events, volunteered at the community center, and developed a deep sense of empathy and service. She embodied the values we cherished, and watching her grow into a kind, driven young woman filled us with pride. One memorable evening, during a gala event for our foundation, Lily was invited to speak. She stood before a room full of supporters, her voice steady and confident. "My parents taught me the importance of giving back," she said, her eyes scanning the audience. "They showed me that no matter what challenges we face, we can always find a way to help others and make the world a better place." Her words resonated deeply with everyone in the room, including Emily and me. We exchanged a look of profound pride and love, knowing that our journey had come full circle. That night, as we returned home, Emily and I sat together once more, reflecting on the path we had traveled. "Jack," she said softly, "we've built something beautiful out of our struggles. Our love, our family, our foundation, it's all a testament to resilience and hope." I pulled her close, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "It is, Emily, and it's also a testament to you. Your strength, your compassion, your unwavering support, they've been the pillars of our journey." Tears welled up in Emily's eyes, and she smiled. "And you, Jack, your courage to rebuild, your dedication to helping others, and your love for us, it's all made this possible." As we sat there, wrapped in each other's embrace, We knew that our journey was far from over. There would be new challenges, new triumphs, and new opportunities to grow. But we faced the future with unwavering confidence and hope, knowing that together we could overcome anything. Our story had been one of redemption, love, and the incredible power of community. From the depths of betrayal, we had risen to build a life filled with purpose and joy. And as we looked ahead, we were ready to continue our journey, hand in hand, forever grateful for the love that had brought us here.